Hello everybody, Last Planeswalker here, and today we're doing another Planeswalker review video. So, in this review, I'm on top of my game this time. We're going to be checking out, when the profile loads, come on, thank you all, Arkangel how do I pronounce it? Arkangel Elspeth. So Archangel Elspeth is the new Mono Walker just released with Bloomborough. It is pure white, and it actually has some very interesting abilities. So at the moment, it's only available for real life cash. So I'm not part of anything with Webcore at the moment. So kind of bought this on a whim. Kind of realized that sometimes it's not a very good thing because there's a few walkers I've bought to do reviews on. Kind of struggled to do any good content for them, so they've been shelved. So kind of a little mistake. But this is actually one of those walkers I'm not regretting buying. Archangel Elspeth seems to be the next best mono walker. But at first glance, she doesn't. And this is where I find this Planeswalker very unique. So let's go over the abilities and the mana bonuses, and then we'll jump into some gameplay. So, 6 loyalty. It's Sacred Search. Destroy the top 4 cards of your library, then return the first creature card from your graveyard to your hand. That card gains 50 mana. Really useful if you can find different creatures that are below 15 mana, because then you can return one and it gets 4 mana. But even if it's like an 18 mana creature or a 20 mana creature, giving it 15 mana is still pretty decent, because then you are essentially going to be giving it like 3 to 5 mana to kind of on a match, which is kind of easy to do when we look at mana bonuses, which we'll look at next. And then we have Holy Call for 10 loyalty. Target creature you control gets X plus X plus X and gains lifelink. Then reinforce that creature X times. X is the number of angel creatures control. First glance, this is a worrying sign, because this means it's a very thematic Planewalker, and thematic Planeswalkers don't tend to do very well in meta, because the limited amount of cards for that type, it may not be good or effective. However, her passive, I hope works, actually makes Holy Call really good. So her passive is Archangel Touch. When a creature leaves your graveyard to your hand or battlefield, that creature gains Angel subtype, then that creature gains Fly and Vigilance. So with Sacred Search, for 6 loyalty, every time you pull a creature, it's going to become an angel. So you can put any creatures in this deck and it will become an angel. So really good for 10 loyalty to buff it, give it lifelink, which is permanent, based off different creatures. So if someone's running a heavy removal deck and you've got enough loyalty to cast her first, it's going to be really decent. Her third, I'm not a big fan of, but I do like it in a pinch. Heaven Army, 12 loyalty. Destroy all creatures, then return the first creature with the greatest mana value from your graveyard to the battlefield under your control with its reinforcement. That creature gains shield counter free. For 12 loyalty, this is kind of a nuke to win kind of scenario if you're getting flooded. So you have 12 loyalty and you have a creature with 5 reinforcements. You're going to destroy all creatures, return that creature, which, if it's one with the highest mana and it's got 5 reinforcements, come in with 5 reinforcements and shield counter free. And shield counter free just basically means when an opposing sorcerer makes this card take damage, you destroy or lose the shield. Prevent the damage, destruction, or shield loss. Then reduce this counter by 1. Then if it can't, it loses shield counter. The only issue I have with this is how shield counters work when an opposing source would make this take damage. So it's an opposing source. I would really like it if shield counter worked on yourself, especially if it was like from getting destroyed, because it'd be really cool to be able to drop Heaven Army and have your creatures survive, which is why I kind of use more Sacred Search and Holy Call over Heaven's Army. The biggest takeaway I do have with this is the mono white walker. I do feel, in my opinion, this kind of makes it a little bit stronger than something like Ajain, which I know everyone's going to disagree with because of Ajain's nature. But to me, Ajain is a very boring Planeswalker because His abilities are centered around evergreens, and you can't really, all you're really doing is flooding the board with less gems and giving your creatures either lifelink. It it's more of a pest to face than an actual fun walker to use. So if you're looking for a fun walker, I would say Arkangel Elspeth takes the prize as one of the most fun mono walkers. May not be as strong as Ajain because having all those different evergreens like prevent damage, double strike, lifelink without the need of extra cards to do it is useful. But personally, I like to use walkers where I'm having a bit of fun over just utility. Now this has good utility with giving it lifelink, so you can get your lifelink and you can return your creature, so it's more well rounded than Ajain. So for me, Arkangel so far is probably one of the most fun mono walkers to use. The next most fun to use will be Grandmaster of Flowers. It's also a very decent mono walker to use. The mana bonuses I do have an issue with, and I actually do have an issue with the colouring. So the mana bonuses are 5 to white, 2 to blue, 2 to green, negative, no minuses to black and red. My only issue is, with this being a graveyard themed walker, I would have expected black to at least have a +1 or a +2 over green, just because black is more what you do with graveyard shenanigans. I also think this weakness is that it's a mono, so if it was like white-black, then that secret search would be a lot better because you could put stuff like Breach the Multiverse, which mills 10 cards from both libraries into each library into each of its graveyards, so you have more chance of fetching a card that way. So, but for 6 loyalty, they are quite cheap, so can't go too wrong, especially with Archangel Touch giving them all Angel. Again, with black, we have a lot of reanimation spells in black that would be really handy, and this is probably to keep it online with the paper card and probably stop it from being overpowered. But I still think it does have a lot of use, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So let's get into some gameplay, if it wants to work. Now, how I'm going to do gameplay this time is a little bit weird because I'm going to show you my kind of mythicish build first, and then showcase my more rare build, which I think is Peasant. I think Pauper is common and common, Peasant, common and common, rare, and then Whale is all the above, but that's just a joke. I do put too much money into this game. So, it's 131 health, I should have mentioned that first, so it does have 1 more health than Puzzle Master Ajain, so yay! So, the mythicish build is, we're going to use Sunken Citadel, so when this support enters the board, convert 7 gems to the most present colour on the board. Beginning of your turn, increase all positive mana bonuses by 200 in the turn. So it's going to give you 7 to white, 4 to blue, 4 to green. Kind of decent. Leather Guildpark I've talked to death about, but this is just basically 6 gems to white. Really fun little card is Starfield of Nyx. At the beginning of your turn, the last support you control that was destroyed is returned to the battlefield. If you control 4 or more supports, all creatures you control gain 5. Really great with her first, because you keep putting supports and creatures and spells, whatever you're milling, into your grave, this will fetch it out. Requisition Raid, really good spree card. Spree 1, destroy each opposing support card, can affect vanguards. Spree 2, destroy each opposing creature. And Spree 3, creature control gain +3/+3. This card is probably one of my favourites to use at the moment. Erect Lullaby. It's an 8 mana common, destroy the first opposing creature, you gain 6 life. Really great non-target removal for white. Against all odds, it's kind of a weird thing that I put into this. You may exile target creature control. If you do, return it to the battlefield under your control with its reinforcements, and then return the first non-spell creature or artifact card with a value 11 or less from your graveyard to play under your control. So this is where we get Sephiric Steed, Mythic, 8 mana. I don't know why I was wondering what the 8 was then. Saddle 4, when this creature attacks, if this creature is saddled, you create 2 angel tokens. Saddled is just the beginning of combat on your turn. You control another creature with power X and more. This creature becomes saddled. So I'm kind of conjoining with that with Patron of the Valiant. A really good origin card that I'm having fun with. When this creature enters the battlefield, all creatures you control gain +1/+1. And as it's a 12 loyalty, well, 12 mana, and this is an 8 mana, when Search and Holy Search is used, it has a high chance of fetching these and they get full mana. And then we have, I'm not even going to pronounce it, the Great Door. Discard a card and draw 2 cards with mana field, and then descend 4 at the end of turn. If this supports 4 or more, transform it. And then at the end of turn, if your descend support level is 2 more, you gain X mana. X is the number of cards in your graveyard. This is just kind of go with the first ability. And then finally, Devourer of Destiny. Exile an opposing support card at random. This can affect vanguards. If you can't, exile an opposing creature at random. If that card is not colorless, you gain X mana. So a really good way to get mana. X is the base mana cost. And then Overflow. Now this is really cool. Ingest 3, then the first creature in your hand gets +3/+3 and gains the Void. I actually really enjoy this for removal and for that +3/+3 and the Void buff, because you can make it so that becomes a 5/5 or that becomes a 7/7. So it's kind of a really neat one to use. So this is more like my Mythic build, but it's one that I don't enjoy as much. I do think this one feels very much loose cannony, but the Angel tokens are going to make it easier for the second ability to pop off, which is going to be great. As you can see though in these gameplays, I probably won't use the third as much unless I'm swamped. So if I'm facing like a green deck who's got like 2 Golters on the board with an Atraxa and I have full loyalty, I probably wouldn't end up dropping it just to kind of make things go a little bit easier. So we're going to lock down the Lullaby, and then we prioritized our mana gains. At the moment, I don't think that's going to give us much trouble. It's a 3/2 flyer. Drake will, because Drake can get beefy pretty quick. There we go. What's this do? When this creature enters the battlefield, exile the first 2 cards from opponent's graveyard. Okay, that's going to be quite annoying with running a graveyard deck. There you go. We've dropped a first, and we've already got Patron to the Valiant. It's just an angel. No point giving in the angel subtype, which personally I think I would have found interesting if it came in as an angel. Oh, and then it's just gonna like shield myself, so we don't need Lullaby. So Lullaby is gonna. And then that was Starfield Nyx has just fetched in the Great Door, so we do need to focus on this Descend token, which can be really easy to do, but I think you need to do a normal match. I don't think conversion matches count. I do need Cryptex though. Cryptex is a card I'm still chasing really badly. So then Sunken Citadel comes in. Descend support. Oh no, it's free. So we're going to do Sacred Search again. That'd be the Steed Pokemon. Jesus, Steed. Oh, I've lost the plot. I've been playing too much Pokemon Go. It's because Pokemon Go is releasing like a new Dynamax feature tomorrow, which is making my head spin. We've got Bloomburrow that's just released in Magic the Gathering. Puzzle Quest. Duskmoor has just dropped its paper spoilers and different mechanic ideas. So everything's kind of happening at once. And I think that's just because of like the state Magic's in at the moment with trying to prioritize the next set, which I think is Foundation after Duskmoor. So it's going to be a little bit annoying. So we're going to saddle up. Yeehaw, partner. And it's also going to get the small buff from, I forgot his name, Starfield Nyx. So it's kind of all working in my favor. Now, I have noticed down at the bottom here is the Great Door, so I am going to have some trouble getting into the corner for the conversion, but I can figure something out. There we go. Well, not conversion, mana field. So Starfield Nyx drops again. So the mana field is there. Discard a card and draw 2 cards. You are on 3, so it needs to be 4. We're going to do Holy Call on the Steed. So we've got So it's jumped up to a 17/17, so it's kind of useful at the moment. Discard a card, and then draw 2 cards. Then we're going to get in 6 life. So it's kind of a powerful little deck, in my opinion. And having cheap loyalties like a 6 loyalty cost ability where we can mail and fetch is kind of a useful thing, especially for running into like heavy removal decks to be able to just keep fetching. I really do like how Starfield of Nyx is very useful as well, because we're always able to keep fetching a support that is destroyed using Sacred Search. So we're going to draw 2 cards. The Descent thing's probably not the best thing. I think it's only really in there at the moment just so I can, and that's game set match. It's kind of only in there for the discard and draw, without the charms from, I think it's Broker's Charm from Streets of New Capenna. I have noticed the draw is kind of lacking. Could just be me. I may not have discovered a really good draw deck. Oh, and we drew 12 cards so far. Quite decent. So overall, I do like that build. You know, we make tokens and everything, but it's kind of not the build that I enjoy using. And normally it would be, because Relic Raid is probably one of my favourite mythics at the moment, just for its spree ability. The second deck we're going to use is more my rare deck, and I've actually had way more success with it and way more fun, because combine it with all of Elspeth's abilities, well, the first 2 abilities, you get a lot of power and a lot of shenanigans. So let's load up. So this is the deck. We have Starseed Mentor, a 3/5, 18 uncommon. So it's going to only cost you about 3 mana if it's fetched from a grave. Then your turn, your opponent loses life equal to the amount of life you gain this turn. And then we have Claim Jumper. This is actually one of the best rare cards in Standard that's being overlooked. Beginning of your turn, convert X gems to white. X is the number of outlaw creatures you control, including their reinforcements. An outlaw is just assassins, rogues, pirates, warlocks, and mercenaries are outlaws. And there is, I think there's a mythic that makes assassin tokens based on simple tokens in play. Combine that with Claim Jumper, and you've got a lot of conversion. We've got Eret's Lullaby again. Really love that card. Make your move. Destroy a support card your opponent controls at random. If you can't, destroy the first opposing creature with the greatest power. Just more removal. Lane the Guild Pack for land. Sunken Citadel for, well, mana boosting. Commodore Guff, I really just like it for the destroy 4 gems of the opponent's Planeswalkers and gain X mana. X is a total shield of all supports you control. And 7 is a really good way to draw 3 cards and deal X damage to your opponent's Planeswalker. X is the total shields of all support cards you control. Then Boombox, it's a 14 mana uncommon. At the beginning of your turn, your first creature gains +2/+0 until end turn. Destroy a random opposing card. This can affect Vanguards of his Activate 2 ability. So it's really good, you know, removal that can fit into any deck, being colorless. And then a Healing Hand, gain 5 life, draw 1 card. Form Posse, 7 mana. When you make a match by swap, if this card in your hand increases the card's level 1, create X red mercenary tokens. X is card's level. They are classed as outlaws, so they're going to really fuel Claim Jumper. So this is the deck. There's a lot of conversion. You hit loyalties fast. And when you can hit the second, then every time you gain life, you're also going to deal that much life towards Greg. And it just gets silly. I think the most I've done is about 80 damage after gaining 80 life, which I just think is unfair. Starseed Mentor is probably one of the strongest cards in meta at the moment. I know its rarity probably puts a few people off, because we're always chasing like the mythics and the masterpieces. But for a card that you're probably going to get a lot quicker, I would highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun and does a lot of damage. So this is where I think black would work really well. Being just like a small card doesn't really help. Ooh, I've not seen that one before. Guardian and Great Door. Sounds interesting. So Sacred Search. That's kind of the only downside with Sacred Search. You're not always going to guarantee to fetch a creature. But for 6 loyalty, oh great. Now we're going to be in for some fun. So somebody's kind of using a deck that I would use on me. That's evil. Clever, but evil. That's like my job. So we'll get rid of that. We'll gain 6 life. Starting Mentor will also deal 6 damage. And then Starseer Mentor just seems to take it and just run with it. We need Claim Mentor, Claim Jumper. I will admit, kind of like a personal thing, I really do love how this is a Bat Warlock, but it's now a Bat Warlock Angel. So, do bats go to Magic the Gathering Heaven when they're killed off? It's kind of like one of those weird things that I have a lot of fun in this game where different cards convert stereotypes, convert subtypes to something else. Just adds a whole like fun little dynamic. So that'll be Boombox ticking off there. Got a lot of loyalty, a lot of conversion. Claim Jumper Guild. Let's cast Sacred Search again. And we didn't pull another creature. It's disappointing, but we're getting 6 life. And then watch Eric's Starseer Mentor just keep pinging. Ping away! So we get conversion and Sacred Search. As you can see, I'm always just going to be spamming Sacred Search. I absolutely love Sacred Search as an ability. It's cheap, useful for fetching creatures, really useful for objectives where it's like have X amount of cards in your library. You can get quite a lot of cards in your library. Let's see. Let's do it one more time to fetch a creature, and then I'll probably use... Which one would I use next? Probably the second, just to boost one of them up, because it should be 2, 3, 4. So they should get reinforced 4 times and gain lifelink as well. Starseer Mentor is just kind of taking everything. I think its Return from the Grave has given it a new lease of life. And then we have double conversion as well, thanks to Claim Jumper. So we'll just reinforce that. Yeah, so it's a 14, so it's going to deal 14 damage, gain 14 health. Starseer will deal another 14 damage. See? And this is why I kind of prefer this over the Mythic deck. It's not that, like, I think the Mythic deck holds a lot more power and a lot more utility, but I do find this card just has, I don't know what it is, it's just a little bit more fun to do with the Starseer Mentor, always fetching these creatures for next to nothing, gaining a lot of mana, doing a lot of conversion, and also dealing a lot of damage. So that was both decks. My personal favourite is the rare, but the really good thing is about this not actually being a thematic walker, being a walker where you can put any creatures in, be it any cost, because any cost under 15 is going to be free, and every cost over 15 is going to be reduced. And for 6 loyalty, it's really easy to get it up. I think a staple of this deck, I personally would say, would have to be Sunken Citadel. I kind of feel like having a 7/4/4 mana spread is probably evil, but a lot of fun, especially with, as you can see, it's very quick to get your abilities up. Overall, it's a good walker, and I think it's on par with Grandmaster of Flowers as a strong mono walker. It does have its flaws, personally. The biggest flaw is there is no guarantee that Sacred Search is going to fetch you a creature if no creature is in your grave. So if you do, like, maybe run 2 creature cards in your deck, then the amount of times you're going to fetch a creature may be reduced compared to a 3 creature card deck. But it's kind of a handy ability to have for 6 loyalty anyways, especially for objectives that say destroy, have X amount of creatures in your graveyard. It's also really good with Heaven Army to kind of control the board for 12 loyalty. So as you can see in these clips, I've had the third a lot. I just don't use it unless I need to. And if you have a card that can come in with haste, then being able to cast this at the start of the turn, wipe the board, fetch a card with haste, swings into Greg. Greg will have to take another turn to get those cards back into play. So it's a really good way to control the board. I think personally, this is the kind of walker you need when you're playing, one with a lot of utility and combos. There's a lot of walkers in standard at the moment that are just powerhouses, like Dakin. I would say Puzzlemaster Ajain is kind of a powerhouse, just in a boring aspect because it's just evergreens. Kasmin is still quite a powerhouse, but not a lot of them have utility, whereas this has some good utility. You've got a Sacred Search, which is a destroy ability, then fetch. Holy Call, which is a reinforcement, a buff, and a lifelink, so really good evergreen. And then Heaven's Army is really good for removal. Couple that in with actually an okay mana spread. I do think it should be red and green as neutral and 2 to black, just to go with the graveyard theme. Overall, I personally think Webcar's done a really good job with this walker. And when it comes to the vault, I would highly recommend it. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.